to have the members of the Blair County Conservation District here to talk to you today about rain barrels. And without further ado, let's clap and thank them for coming. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jim Eckenrode. The watershed specialist for the Blair County Conservation District. I always like to tell everybody what a conservation district is before we get started. The Blair Conservation District was founded in 1966. There are 66 conservation districts in the state of Pennsylvania and 67 counties. The only county without a conservation district is Philadelphia because it's covered in concrete buildings and blacktop. Conservation districts are often also called soil and water conservation districts in other states. So our main priority, come on in please, that's okay. Our main priorities are to basically protect and conserve soil, and we do that in a couple ways. We help farmers keep their soil in their fields through agricultural best management practices. We help contractors enforce state regulations that make them put in that nice black construction fence you see up, and that keeps the silt and the sediment from leaving the site, and it keeps our water clean. And we also do a few other things, but those are the two main focuses that we work on. All of it's focused on keeping soil where it belongs so that we can use it and keeping our water clean. The reason soil is important because it takes about 1 million years to make 1 inch of soil. And if you think about it, our topsoil is probably only about 4 inches deep, and we pretty much rely on that for everything, for our entire existence. Our food, our oxygen, clean air, clean water, our food for our animals that we eat, our food for our plants that we eat. So soil is very important. So that's why we have a conservation district. Conservation district office is right next to Dave's Dream and Dunkin' Donuts. We're not hard to find. And if anybody ever has any questions about any of those things, feel free to ask me. But tonight we're going to talk about non-point source pollution, and we're going to have a little presentation on non-point source pollution, a little presentation on stormwater. We're going to talk about rain barrels and rain gardens, just to kind of give you a little bit of information on rain gardens. And then we're going to, if you want to, you can stay and we're going to make rain barrels afterwards. And if you do want to make a rain barrel, we charge $25 to make one. Rain barrels are always available at the Conservation District office, except they cost more. They're about $49.95 if you want to put it together, $39.95 if you just buy the parts and the barrel from us, and $25 at a workshop because we think your time is valuable, and we get to talk to you about something that's important to us. So that's why we charge $25 at workshops. Any questions? There is coffee, some snacks provided by the library, which is quite nice. And I don't even know where the restrooms are upstairs.
Oh, there is a restroom at the bottom of the stairs right here.
Okay, any questions? All right, we'll get started. So we're going to talk about what you can do in your own backyard. We're going to talk about non-point source pollution. We're going to talk about rain barrels and rain gardens. I already went over that. The last two we're not going to go over, but the Conservation District does do presentations on. The first one is healthy lawns and soil testing. And all I want to tell you there is that you can buy a soil test kit at the Extension Office, Cooperative Extension Office at Valley View Home for $9, and we also have them in the Conservation District office for $9. You fill them out for anything. It could be your lawn, it could be your crops, it could be you might have a small orchard or trees, anything you want, any application. Send it off to Penn State, and they'll come back and they'll tell you what your lawn needs. And the reason that's important is because we don't want people overusing chemicals. And that could be fertilizers, pesticides, or herbicides. So all I can say about that tonight is that soil testing is very valuable, and please, if you're going to use chemicals, it's not a problem, but if you're going to use them, please read the bag, make sure you use the proper amount. It's going to save you time and money if you don't use more than you have to. Last one is invasive species. We just always encourage people to use native plant species. Not all non-natives are invasive, but some can be, and then they can get out of hand, and they're hard to control for other people. So there's a whole bunch of other things we go into that too, but it just gives you a little idea. So I'm going to talk about non-point source pollution tonight. There's point source, that just means it comes out of a pipe. It could be a wastewater treatment facility. It could be an industry, a manufacturing plant. That's point source because it comes out of a pipe. Everything else, non-point source. So non-point source could occur when rainfall or snow melt runs across the land and picks up any kind of pollutants. It could be these chemicals you put in your lawn. It could be oil, grease, gas. gasoline from a vehicle, could be sediment, could be dirt. All those things end up in our rivers and streams and our lakes, and the bottom line is they don't belong there. Anything we do can cause pollution, farming, forestry, leaking septic systems, anything we do with construction, any physical changes to a stream channel, all those, including habitat degradation, cause non-point source pollution. And non-point source pollution is our largest problem in the United States. Actually, our largest problem in the world, because we can really get a handle, we've gotten a really good handle in the last 30 years on point source, but we don't really have a very good handle on non-point source pollution. One of the biggest components of non-point source pollution is stormwater. There are a couple others, like abandoned mine drainage. I don't know if anyone's ever been in the Horseshoe Curve. Plus, I've talked about it here once before. I know some people here have attended that session. But we do have mining, and if you've ever seen a stream orange, like the stream that runs up along the road to the Horseshoe Curve, that's pollution from past coal mining. That's another type of non-point source pollution, but tonight we're going to focus mainly on stormwater. And stormwater is any water that comes off an impervious surface, and that's just a hard surface that the water can't percolate down through. So it's any constructed surface, concrete, rooftops, blacktop, parking lots, sidewalks. All these add up. It rains, and of course it runs right off the driveway or right off the roof, and then it starts to build up. And that's when we get those flashy events and the streams come up real fast, because all that stormwater runs right to the closest drain, from the closest drain right into the stream. I always like to remind everybody that those storm drains at the end of your block, at the end of the street, or right next to your house, that water isn't treated. Maybe a long time ago, when we had really small little boroughs and towns, that water may have been treated. But now that water is primarily clean as opposed to sewage. So they don't treat that anymore. They try to keep them separate so that they don't over tax the treatment plants. So to do that, all that water that goes down that drain goes straight to the closest stream. So if you see anybody dumping anything in those storm drains at the bottom of your street, next to your house, wherever, oil, paint, anything, that's all going right to the closest stream. So it's always good to remind people of that. So stormwater has some detrimental effects, including excessive accelerated erosion. Stormwater is a water quality and a water quantity problem. Here's our quality problem. Does anybody think that a stream should look like that? Brown. I always tell kids chocolate milk. Obviously you can see a ton of erosion on that bank. All that soil has ended up in the stream. First of all, we can't use it there. Second of all, the stream critters that live there, the bugs, they basically wake up the next morning and their entire house is covered in mud. So can you imagine waking up one morning? We could use snow as an analogy maybe today, but can you imagine one morning waking up and your entire house covered with mud and having to dig out every day? So all those stream bugs that live in the stream, that feed our fish, that feed us, they're pretty much being buried in their house. How many do you want?